Hey everybody, my name is Ethen Ostroff. I'm a personal injury lawyer in the Philadelphia area. If you ever have any questions about your personal injury case, I'm happy to hop on the phone with you. I represent people either myself or through my referral network in every single state across the country. So if you need help, doesn't matter where you're from, I'm going to make sure you get taken care of. Before I dive into what is the timeline on my personal injury case, make sure to hit that subscribe button, follow along where I make sure that your future personal injury case is protected. If you ever have any questions about your case, I hope you're not going through something, but I'm here for you. So what is the timeline on my personal injury case? This is one of the most common questions that I get asked. Hey, when am I gonna get freaking paid for what I'm going through? I deserve it. So, in terms of the typical timeline, I'm going to try to break it down from start to finish as best as I can. The first time you contact me, that is called a lead. That lead passes into my system, and I'm going to tell you how I handle these situations. It's a little different than some other lawyers and their processes, but the basics are pretty close to the same. I'm going to take you as if your case goes all the way to trial and every step along the way. This is a traditional personal injury type of process. So keep in mind, everyone has a little bit of a different spin. It's called the practice of law because there's many ways to practice. So in my personal injury experience, the way that we go is you come to my website or you call me. That is a lead. That lead gets qualified. And basically, I'm deciding whether I think this is something that I, as a business owner, can help you with. If you have a situation where you were hurt, but you were at fault, I can't help you. But let's say that you got rear-ended at a stoplight, you were hurt, you were not at fault, I can take that case. So in intake, we go through the questionnaire, the background information, the setup. We need to know the insurance information. We need to know the basics of your facts, the basics of your injuries. Then if we qualify it and you sign a contract with us called a contingency fee, the next step is that intake converts to a matter. A matter sort of has two parts to it. There's the pre-litigation part and the litigation part if necessary. Now I'm going to go through this whole process. So the day that you sign that contract, your case opens up in my system and it tells my team, hey, we got a new client. Go and put everybody on notice, make sure the investigation is done, make sure the setup of that case is correct. So we might need to go put people on notice. We might need to, let's say you fell at a store. We need to go send letters out to that store and let them know that, hey, this happened. So that initial setup of putting insurance companies and the businesses and the parties on notice happens. Then we might gather things like photos, investigation. We might send someone out to the scene if there was a crack on a sidewalk and get a measurement of it. Different things like that are really critical to the actual setup of your case. So in terms of the next steps, as you are going through your treatment process, because obviously you're hurt, that's why I represent you, as soon as you are either at 2 points, one, you have reached maximum medical improvement, or you are discharged. That means you're not going to get better. So let's say, day one, you sign the contract with me, then you're treating for another 10 months. It doesn't make sense for me to try to get you paid for your situation until you're done treating, because I can't tell the insurance companies, hey, my client got hurt. It was your client's fault. Here is what I'm asking for because they went through these things. If I don't know what you have gone through, so if you force me to ask the insurance company for money on your behalf a week after your car crash, I don't know how hurt you are. You might have had a herniated disc and it hasn't even gotten shown on an MRI yet. So you really need to take your time with this pre-litigation part of the case where your injuries are sort of healing. You worry about showing up to physical therapy, showing up if you need an injection, showing up if you need to get a surgery, and following through on what your doctor recommends for you. And then your case kind of builds itself. Once you have reached that point of maximum medical improvement, next what I would do is I would submit something called a demand to the insurance companies involved. I would send one to the other driver. Sometimes I send one to your own insurance company. It really depends on the facts of the situation. If that insurance company does not settle, then I have to sue. If they do settle, your case ends right there and I get you paid. It's easier on everybody that way. But guess what? Insurance companies are unreasonable, which is why I have a job. So if they don't settle fairly or try to settle fairly, we sue them. Then it goes through the process of litigation, which I do go into detail in another video about, where basically we file a complaint in the court system where this happened or where the defendant is from. And then we have to serve every single person in the party, which is in the entire case, which is something called the pleadings process and the service process. Once we get through the pleadings process, then we go back and forth with the other party on something called discovery, where we basically gather information from the other party that we need if we were to go to trial. Then maybe we go to trial and we try the case, verdict comes out, and that's the end of the case, unless there's an appeal. So really there are a lot of different parts, and I definitely oversimplified it. I just want to kind of give you the nuts and bolts, but the timeline is basically either after you're done treating, which could be 3 months, it could be 6 months, it could be 10 months, it could be almost 2 years, it could be really indefinitely, or when the statute of limitations gets there, you need to sue within a period of time after you got hurt. But in terms of a timeline, it really depends on, number one, will the insurance company settle fairly before we have to sue? And if we have to sue, it depends on timelines from the court systems, how fast or how backlogged they are. And guess what? Because of COVID, a lot of court systems are really backed up. So to give you a perfect timeline on your personal injury case is difficult, but the best lawyers do it in a way that cause you to have to be patient. Because if they do it in a way that's too fast, your case will suffer for it. I hope that you are not going through a personal injury case. If you are, click below. I'm happy to be your lawyer. Happy to guide you through the process. Hope you don't need me, but click that button to subscribe and follow along where your future personal injury case will be protected. Thank you.